Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome to Adventures in History. Today's topic is major cities of the world. Now, this is I think, a very interesting topic. The urbanization that has been going on for centuries as people have moved from farms to small towns to larger towns to cities to huge, enormous cities. And with transportation, airplanes, and so forth, you have people leaving their country of origin and moving to cities in another country. So this has been going on. And today, 55% of all the people in the world live in cities. And when you think about it, the land area, I don't have the numbers, but the land area of cities must be a very relatively small percentage of the Earth's land surface. But so you have basically people really packed in together, and it's the topic is interesting to me because I spent 20 years living in Metro Manila, Philippines, and I thought to myself, my gosh, this is just incredible. And the lack of space, the congestion, is really I found very challenging. You don't have room. You don't have everything's built up. Houses and so forth, and then the traffic. Oh my gosh, you try to go anywhere, it's so difficult because the traffic is so bad in Metro Manila and a lot of these major cities around the world. So many cars. So it's interesting, but I think the trend has been more and more urbanization, and they say it's going to go even higher. The percentage of people living in cities is expected to go up like 68%. Sooner or later, it's going to have to turn around, and I've heard also the leader of our church, the head of our church, Paramahansa Yogananda, he said that sooner or later the people will have to return to the land, and so we'll see about that. But actually, I think that urbanization and city life has played a major role in evolution and development in the world because one of the problems in small towns and rural areas has been, it's nice and you think of, this fresh air and space and it's quiet and so forth. And but one of the problems in rural areas has been superstition and lack of freedom, and gossip, things like that, and lack of freedom. So, and one of the things that people have liked about cities, obviously, there's a lot more going on. There's economic opportunity to. Also, a lot of poverty and extremes in wealth, very wealthy, and some of these horrible slums in cities, and then of course you have mansions at the same time. But people, one of the things people have liked about cities has been freedom. More freedom because it seems like in a small town, you have relatives and neighbors, everyone's into each other's business, and I think one of the most important things in life is religious freedom. And in rural areas, maybe that's been kind of tough to have because if you wanted to do something out of the ordinary, different, people say, "Oh, what are you doing?" And so in city life, there's been more freedom, opportunity, and but less support. Also, more crime because criminals can hide in cities. So many people, they can commit a crime and go run away. And whereas small towns, it's pretty tough. Less crime, you can't really hide in a small town. If you commit a criminal act, you're going to get caught probably, and so more crime, and the thing is also less support. So and I think a lot of more troubled people maybe because they don't have enough people. Not as many relatives or friends maybe in neighborhoods. So people more mental illness, people becoming troubled in cities, more freedom, but also things can go bad. But anyway, I think it has played a major role. Cities have played a positive role, as I said, because overcoming superstition, all these superstitious beliefs people in rural areas have had, and more freedom, because like I said, to adopt some of these powerful spiritual paths that are available today, like self-realization fellowship. Okay, so anyway, so I thought we'd go through some of these cities, major cities of the world. Chongqing, China. Now, the thing is about looking at cities, you have the municipality, and I was hoping to go through the cities from the highest population and just going lower, descending. But it's not that easy because you have the municipality, and then it might be surrounded by many other municipalities which are part of a greater urban area. Like in Metro Manila, Metro Manila is one of the biggest cities in the world as far as I know in terms of population. But Manila itself is relatively small population, but it's surrounded by all these other municipalities. So therefore, it's actually, people call it Manila, even if you're not living in Manila proper. So it's if you're trying to figure out which of the cities are the biggest, it's not that easy because you have the two things, the municipality and then the greater area. Okay, so let's start going through these. Chongqing, China, used to be called Chongqing, 30.4 million people. And the thing that jumps out at you if you look at the major cities of the world is how many of them are in China and Greater India. When I say Greater India, I mean India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, because Pakistan and Bangladesh were part of India before. They just broke off when independence came because of the Hindu-Muslim conflict. But it's amazing how many, the massive population of China and India. So Chongqing, China. Shanghai, China. Another Shanghai, famous city. 24.8 million people. Beijing, China, the capital of China, formerly Peking, before that Pekin. 24.9 million people. And then Lagos, Nigeria, in West Africa. And this is largely because of the wealth created in the oil industry that has made, Nigeria a wealthy country in West Africa, the powerhouse of West Africa. Lagos, lots of folks moving there to work because of the oil wealth that has been created. Mumbai, India, 20.7 million, formerly known as Bombay, one of the famous cities in history. Dhaka, Bangladesh, 20 million. Bangladesh is a very relatively small country in terms of land size, but very large population in this Dhaka, again part of Greater India. Chengdu, China, another huge Chinese city. Karachi, Pakistan, this is part of Greater India. Guangzhou, China, formerly known as Canton. Istanbul, Turkey. This is one of the most ancient cities in the world. Tremendous history because it was, before it became Muslim, it was Constantinople, the capital of the Byzantine Empire, which was actually part of it was when you had the break in part of the Roman Empire, and then you had the break, and then the eastern part, which was Greek, an ancient Greek city, and of course now it's been Turkish ever since for 500 some years, and the capital of the massive Ottoman Empire, which extended into the Balkan Peninsula and in the Middle East. Tokyo, Japan, 38 million. Tokyo, just imagine, that's an enormous number of people. Tianjin, China. Okay, another Chinese city. Moscow, Russia. Of course, so that draws people from all over Russia and, of course, the former Soviet Union. Sao Paulo, Brazil, 21.7 million. In South America, a huge country, probably the biggest city in South America. Kinshasa, Congo, Congo was formerly Zaire under the dictator Mobutu. Kinshasa, huge country, huge city in Central Africa. And fortunately, it looks like the civil war there has really died down, and there seems to be peace. Kinshasa, Congo, where Muhammad Ali fought the Rumble in the Jungle. Famous boxing match against heavyweight title fight against George Foreman. Delhi, India, another Indian city. Delhi, really ancient city. Baoding, China. Lahore, Pakistan, again part of Greater India. Another of these big, actually Pakistani, but Pakistanis, they might be offended if you call them Indians, but it's part of the Indian. Pakistan is really a new name. So they're the people of Indian civilization, which is so ancient. Okay, Wuhan, China. Okay, Cairo, Egypt. Another African major city on the Nile River in northeast Africa, the Sahara Desert, and lots of people there in Cairo another ancient city. Ancient Egypt, one of the oldest civilizations. Seoul, South Korea. Yeah, largely due to the economic development of South Korea. Lots of people there. Jakarta, Indonesia. This huge, the largest archipelago in the world, and 30 million people in Jakarta. Yeah, I think it's a lot kind of similar to Manila because of the climate and the people. Although they're Muslim, but the Malay people, and although hotter down there in Jakarta because it's down toward the equator. Wenzhou, China. Lima, Peru, another South American country city. Lima, Peru. Mexico City, Mexico. Ooh boy, about 22 million people. Yeah, they say this. They have really problems with air pollution because I think it's like in a basin, and of course, in modern life, city life, you have all these cars with their exhaust, and then in Mexico City, they have a tough time because of these mountains to get the exhaust to disperse. London, England, United Kingdom. London, one of the great, at one time really the most powerful city in the world during the British days of the British Empire. And where my grandmother lived as a little girl. She was from England, and her father worked in a so-called Hansom cab business, which was like a horse-powered, before automobiles, like a horse and buggy. And anyway, London, also famous for the novels of Charles Dickens. Now very international. So many people there in London from different parts of the world, especially from India, Pakistan, Jamaica, different former colonies of Great Britain in the Caribbean and in Africa. London, England, where Queen Elizabeth and of course Prince Charles, and now the grandsons. Bangkok, Thailand, another country, another major city in Southeast Asia. I've heard, the traffic there is also pretty bad. Also, these third world major cities, I think that they generally have really bad traffic. Just so many people, so many cars on the road trying to get from here to there. Xi'an, China, another massive Chinese city. Chennai, India. I hadn't heard of that. Another big city in India. Bangalore, India. See, again, you can see this huge population in India. New York City, New York, United States. Yeah, New York, probably the most powerful city in the world, head of the center of where the UN is located, and tremendous wealth. And the cover photo for this video is from Manhattan Island, southern Manhattan, or lower Manhattan, as they call it. Yeah, tremendous wealth there, and the banking industry and publishing as well. And New York City, the famous city, one of the really most famous cities in the world, and maybe the most powerful. Ho Chi Minh City, formerly Saigon in South Vietnam after the takeover when the communists took over South Vietnam, named after the leader of North Vietnam. Hyderabad, India, another huge city in India. Shenzhen, China, another. See all these Chinese cities. Zhuzhou, China, again. Nanking, China, Tehran, Iran, in the Middle East. Another, one of the, not too far from Istanbul and Cairo, Tehran, India. Bogota, Colombia, in South America. Hong Kong, China. That's in the news now. Hong Kong, which was a British colony, and they've had freedom there, and now they're part of China. But the question is the rights. They have a separate. They're not really under Chinese law completely, and there's been controversy over what exactly are the rights of the people in Hong Kong. Okay, Baghdad, Iraq. Oh, one of the very ancient city. They said it was really sacked by Genghis Khan, centuries ago, and of course really troubled, with especially the Shia Sunni conflict, and of course the Saddam Hussein dictatorship, and then since the U.S. invasion and civil war in Baghdad, hard times. Hanoi, Vietnam, former capital of. It's probably still capital of Vietnam in the north, former capital of North Vietnam. Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, famous, has the famous statue of Jesus Christ, beautiful, up on on the hill there, and the famous This famous, is it Copacabana Beach? No, I don't think so. Well, anyway, they have a famous beach there. Santiago, Chile, also in South America. Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. Yes, Saudi Arabia is popular since these tremendous oil wealth, and well, of course, the Saudis. Yeah, their population has been growing because large numbers of children, and they have the wealth to support children. Riyadh, a lot of Filipinos working in Riyadh. Singapore, which is like a city and a country, very small, one big, the city country, Singapore, mostly Chinese, and a lot of firm number of Indians and the Malay people. At the end of the Malay Peninsula, former British colony. Yangon, Myanmar, formerly, this is like, used to be called Rangoon, Burma, and since the government, these generals, a lot of these cities, they had the old name, which was kind of, really the English name, and then they came up with an English version closer to the way they call it in their own country. St. Petersburg, Russia, founded by Peter the Great. Oh, wow. Way back, I think Peter the Great in the late 1700s, or in the 1700s. Later it was Leningrad. Russia's window to the west on the Baltic Sea. And it's Peter the great Russian Tsar who conquered that from, I'm not sure who from. But anyway, and also ended up taking, I think Sweden. I think it was Swedish at that time, when Sweden had a big empire. And then he took Latvia, which really became the window to the west, one of the Baltic states. Sydney, Australia, in the Australia is kind of an interesting country. It's a western country, far from the west. You think of the west. Really, the west is in Europe and North and South America, but Australia and New Zealand, sort of isolated from the rest of the west and surrounded by more of Asian and Pacific countries. Casablanca, Morocco. You think of that famous movie with Humphrey Bogart, Casablanca, Northwest Africa. Abidjan, Ivory Coast. This is in West Africa and further south, or Ivory Coast, or Côte d'Ivoire in French, because it was a French colony. Johannesburg, South Africa. This is the power. South Africa, the powerhouse of wealthy country of southern Africa, and Johannesburg. They're having ongoing problems, but hopefully they can work things out. The problem's getting along. They still have the white minority that's wealthy, although they have equal rights now, one man, one vote. Okay, Los Angeles, California, United States. Very powerful city, wealthy, home of Hollywood, where on these international movies are, the movie studios are located. Los Angeles. Berlin, Germany. This was at one time, part of the center of the Nazi Empire when Germany tried to conquer all of Europe. Berlin, and the divided city for a long time between the communist East and the democratic West, and the conflict and the goal. Where the Cold War was a battlefield between the United States and the Soviet Union. Berlin. Unfortunately, now it's been unified since Germany was unified, so that's good. Kabul, Afghanistan. Kabul, they've had some definitely real hard times going back to before the Russian invasion in '79, the communist takeover, and then the Russian period and long Civil War, Taliban, and now the U.S. Occupation, or the U.S. period, which there doesn't seem to be any end in sight for American troops in Afghanistan. Madrid, Spain, at one time the center of, the capital of Spain, center of the Spanish Empire, one of the biggest empires in history, Madrid, Spain. Nairobi, Kenya, another African country, East Africa. Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in East Africa. Buenos Aires, Argentina in South America. Buenos Aires, good air. I think the Spanish, it had a nice breeze, and they said, this is a really nice air. Buenos Aires. Metro Manila, Philippines. One of the where Filipinos come from all over the Philippines, and they move there from all the islands, Luzon, Mindanao, Visayas. Everyone's moving to Manila, right? And then from there, maybe around the world. Toronto, Ontario, Canada. in the east of Canada. Rome. I'm wearing a Rome T-shirt. The Eternal City. Yeah, one of the most ancient cities. Of course, the Roman Empire was, named after Rome. And you have the Roman Catholic Church, because this is where the center of the church is, where the Pope lives in the Vatican. And you have the Sistine Chapel. And then there's the funny scene in the movie, The Breakup. Vince Vaughn says, to Jennifer Aniston, you always talk about the 16th chapel. What about the other 15? The Sistine Chapel, which is in the Vatican, which is in Rome. Of course, Vatican's interesting. It's like Perlis, supposedly. Well, they say it's a little country inside Rome, ruled by the Pope. Yeah, the eternal city, or the Colosseum, and the Circus Maximus, and so all this history. Julius Caesar, going back to the Roman Empire. Chicago, Illinois, United States, one of the huge American city. Tashkent, Uzbekistan, formerly in the Soviet Union, in Central Asia. Paris, France. Yes, Paris, one of the destination, or a dream people dream of going, and often do go on, and have their photograph taken by the Eiffel Tower and the Champs-Élysées and Notre Dame. That was very sad when they had the fire in Notre Dame during this past year, I believe. Okay, Havana, Cuba, which used to be a very popular place for American tourists, but then in the communist period it was closed off, and Havana, Cuba. A lot of great baseball players from Havana. And hopefully they've had this ongoing political problems there and a dictatorship. Hopefully freedom will come to Cuba. Okay, Minsk, Belarus. And this is in former Soviet Union and near Eastern Europe. Caracas, Venezuela. Yeah, a lot of hard times there. A lot of great baseball players as well. Omar Vizquel from Cleveland played for the Indians. Played from Caracas. Yeah, a lot of political problems because the government became very socialistic or dominant, and economic problems. Bucharest, Romania, in Eastern Europe. Vienna, Austria, and actually it's German speaking. They call it Wien, Vienna, or actually there's the Sound of Music, I think, takes place in Vienna, and at the center of a lot of classical music in Vienna, in the Alps in Central Europe. Hamburg, Germany, on the North Sea. My friend Brent's father, Lesheim, was from Hamburg on the I think it's on the North Sea. Okay, Kathmandu, Nepal, on the Himalaya Mountains. Wow, just imagine, in the highest mountains in the world. Harare, Zimbabwe, in southern Africa. Yeah, a lot of hard times there. Well, they've had finally the end of the Robert Mugabe dictatorship, which was very tough for the people of Zimbabwe, formerly Rhodesia, British colony. Prague, the Czech Republic in Eastern Europe. Belgrade, Serbia, which I think was the capital of the former Yugoslavia. Now it's just the capital of Serbia, Belgrade. Okay, Omsk, Russia. Yeah, Omsk. And there's also Tomsk, Russia, where I have a pen pal, Rosa Chokolova. And Cleveland, Ohio, USA. That's where I'm from. That's where I am right now. I'm in the Cleveland area, Cleveland, Ohio. Cleveland, city of champions. It's very interesting that, of course, there are many, many more cities I haven't talked about of lesser population, but there's so many. But anyway, that's some of them. Anyway, that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.